A lot of you have said that you'd like to know the experience as a spectator. Now I'm here as a spectator, I don't have a press pass, I've got no like privileges. They confiscate that off you as you walk in the venue. So we're in Berlin for the CrossFit Semifinals. Today we're watching the women and the men individuals. We'll be watching Laura Horvarth, Sara sigmundsdottir, Annie thorisdottir, who else? The BKG's there.
BKG,
Reggie Fasser, Taylor Howe, Amy Kringle, basically loads of amazing athletes. I think for me what's going to be really interesting is I've never seen these athletes in live competition, and I've looked up to like Sara and Annie for a very long time, and it'll be really cool to see if Sara gets back to the CrossFit Games. I really want her to. I remember watching like the Road to the Games episodes like back in the day, and she was always one of my favourites. Laura Horvarth as well is like one of my current favourites, mostly because she's like amazing on a barbell. She just seems really cool, so it'll be good to see them today and see how they get on. I don't know if you can see, but there's a sheep on the back of the building. What? So the stadium was actually a lot bigger than we expected, and if you look, the seats at the top actually did fill in the end. We started off by watching the teams, and it was really cool to see the teams doing these kind of pirouettes. I've spoken about these in recent videos with like Boz bringing in more gymnastics movements. It's really cool to see, especially in person when some are so efficient. We also watched CrossFit Oslo Navy Blue, and they absolutely smashed some of the team workouts. They were amazing all weekend. And then the elite individuals started to come out, so Sara sigmundsdottir was in this heat, and this was for the first test, which is one of them that wasn't aired on the CrossFit stream. I don't really know how I feel about that. I feel like we should be airing all of them. I think everybody would be interested to see them. At the start of this workout, obviously everybody was pretty level. It's a really long workout with like thousands of meters on each of the machines, but Gabriella Migala started out quite ahead of everybody. She was clearly one of the stronger ones. I was expecting Laura Horvarth to do better in this work. I thought she was going to come out on top basically because she's quite good at like pulling, especially heavyweight. She's good on machines too. So I personally was rooting for her, but they were quite level, and it was just really cool to actually see these athletes in real life. And you don't see what you see in a lot of the documentaries, etc. You do see them kind of resting between movements, pacing themselves. They're not just like gunning it all of the time, and that was quite interesting to see. Sara has obviously been out for a couple of years after she tore her ACL and had to have it reconstructed, so that's like a major injury. It was exciting to see her back, and a lot of the crowd were definitely rooting for her. She's definitely had a lot of support within the European regional. What was super exciting being there as a spectator is it was clear that there was loads of countries, like representation from different countries cheering from different athletes. So Gabriella Migala had a huge crowd from the country that she's from, and a load of like Emma McQuaid, she had a load of Irish people cheering for her. There were a lot of flags. It was amazing. There was a whole crowd of Icelandic people and like flags, and they were doing the chants. It was so cool. The atmosphere was literally incredible, and I can't get it across to you just watching this video. Amy Kringle was doing amazing actually. She was a bit far for me to get like imagery of her, but her and Gabriella Migala were both at the top, and she ended up, I think at the end of this workout, I'm going to spoil it now, I think she ended up coming second, which is amazing. Amy Kringle, if you don't know, she is an athlete from the UK. She's quite up and coming, and she's definitely one to be watching over the next couple of years. So Gabriella Migala ended up pulling away from the pack, and this is the moment where she ended up winning the workout, and honestly the stadium erupted. It was amazing to be there while this happened. I mean, it's not like a spectacular finish, like a lot of these athletes in this workout just kind of fall over the line, which is like funny, but I feel like it would be cool to see them sprint or something so that you clearly knew. And then Amy Kringle came second. There she is. She did amazing. Really, really proud of her. She's like such a lovely person as well. And then obviously we were keeping an eye out for Annie, some of the favourite athletes, and I think, like I was saying before, we don't get to see some of our favourite athletes on the live stream because it focuses so much on the leaders. And then Sara wasn't too far afterwards, but she definitely wasn't in the top set, and we had some really strong finishes in the earlier heats. So when they were like girls from, there's like 6 heats of the individuals, in earlier heats there definitely were people that beat Sara. She didn't start off the strongest. And then we moved on to the men's heats, and Lazar was basically leading straight from the get-go. He is an incredible athlete, and it was really clear to see during this. Harry Lightfoot was in the top heat, which was amazing to see. So Harry is from Cornwall, and this is the first time he's qualified for the CrossFit Semifinals, and it was cool to see him there. Reggie Fasser, also another British athlete. It was just amazing to see them on the same floor as some like big name athletes like BKG, Lazar Jukic, Jonikoski, loads of the others. It was really clear that Lazar was just like pulling, but also like Harry actually kept up with him quite a lot, and I was quite surprised to see him like so high within these like mega elite athletes. He was doing really well and giving them a run for their money, and I love to see that. We love an underdog, so that was pretty damn cool. Jonikoski was also holding his own as well. But Lazar was just in a league of his own, and at this point this is where he pulls it over the line and wins the workout, and it was absolutely insane. He was a couple hundred meters ahead of a lot of the other people, which was like, it's just incredible, and he did so well across the weekend. And then Henrik Haapalainen came second, and then I think BKG closely followed him after. There wasn't like too much gap between them. And then Harry after that as well. It was a really exciting event to watch. It was so cool. It's a shame it wasn't on the live stream. We just watched event 1 with the individuals. Gabriella Migala absolutely smashed it. She came in first in the first workout. She was quite far ahead, wasn't she? She's quite far ahead of the other athletes. Who came in second? Oh, Amy Kringle.
Oh yeah, she did, yeah.
Amy Kringle from the UK. I think she came second. She was amazing. Like, I don't think she started off ahead, but then like midway, it looked like she caught up quite a long way. I don't think Amy's ever been to the games before, so that would be good to see her go if that's possible. It was also amazing to see like Sara, Laura Horvarth, like that, all of the other athletes, Annie, everybody else, like in real life. That was crazy. So after the women, of course, there was the men. Lazar Jukic won the men. He was insane. I think on the ski erg he was a good like 200 to 300 meters ahead of the rest of them. And then do you remember who came in second?
Yeah, Henrik Haapalainen, like closely followed behind Lazar in the final pool.
Yeah, he was like
closing the gap.
Yeah, I can't remember the exact order of the rest of them, but like one person we were particularly looking out for, Harry Lightfoot, who is from Cornwall, which is where we're from, and he did really well. He absolutely smashed it. He came in like 6th.
We think he finished 6th.
Yeah, Harry hasn't been to the games before. I think this is the first time he's ever qualified for like semi-finals, so he's like basically new. It would be really cool to see him go further. The next workout is the one with the rings and the ruck, so that'll be quite interesting. I think there's been a few incidents with other athletes, like some athletes couldn't complete it because they got injured whilst trying to practice the movement. Hopefully none of that happens. Yeah, I think our predictions are that probably Lazar's gonna get through.
Yeah, I reckon he might win it.
Yeah. And who else did we say?
Well, for the male side, BKG.
Yeah, BKG. Obviously Jonikoski. I think there's like 11 spots though for each side, so there's quite a lot of them we're going to get through. It would be really cool to see some of the English lot get through, so like Amy Kringle, Reggie Fasser, who also did really well in that workout.
Harry Lightfoot.
Harry, obviously. And for the women's side, I'm thinking it's going to be like Gabi Migala is probably going to be one of the top ones. Who else do you reckon?
Laura Horvarth.
Yeah, oh yeah, obviously Laura's going to be like, I reckon she'll either come first or second.
Annie will be right up there.
Yeah, Annie will be obviously really up there. The one person that I've said before I've really hoping gets through is Sara, because I think she's amazing. She missed out last year, didn't she? And then she had the injury, so I really want to see her come back from her, and she's been like one of my favourite athletes like of all time for ages, so I really hope that she gets there. And what was really nice as well about her is at the end of the workout she congratulated and like high-fived every single athlete on the field, and that was just so cool. So let's see what the next workout brings, and we'll update you after. Zach Wild made our weekend. He is such an amazing DJ with such an amazing attitude. It was so cool to watch him. So the penultimate heat had Jacqueline Dahlstrom in it, and that was awesome to watch. She crushed it. They all got to around the 50-ish mark, but it was really clear that this was like a savage workout. So after that, obviously we had like the heat with Annie, Gabi, Laura, all of the rest in it, and they made these ring muscle up complexes look really easy. I mean, obviously because they are elite athletes, but they looked quite smooth, most of them. There weren't a lot of them that massively struggled. In the men's heat there were a fair amount that struggled, but it seemed like with the women there was actually less. It's a shame I didn't pan the camera over to Sara during this workout, but in the background basically she was doing these pistol squats a lot slower. but it was clear to see a lot of the athletes that we are used to being in the top that have qualified over the last couple of years weren't having any particular issues with the pistols. Obviously they've not had any injuries either, and early on in the first round they weren't going that fast. They were all kind of level pegging a lot of the time. There wasn't any clear leaders, but Emma Tall during this workout started to pull away from the pack. And then I think it's almost like Annie, like when she notices somebody pull ahead, she kind of sets her sights on them and started like kind of gunning for her a little bit. I saw her speed up on some of her burpees, and in the second round she was definitely kind of being a little bit faster on the rings. But her complexes were just so smooth. I just can't believe how she can go from the toes to rings into the muscle up and into the dip that smoothly. She seems to be having no issues at all. And Laura and Gabi were basically the same kind of deal. They were having no real issues. I think Gabi struggled a little bit there, but most of her reps were super smooth. And then it was clear that they were kind of saving their energy and then kind of pushing on the burpees. Sara in the background, as you can see, like she was quite far away, so I couldn't really get many shots of her, but she was just a little bit back, maybe like 10 reps back from some of the other athletes. You can see the rest of the row, they're all like at the same level, but she's just one back, and that's literally because those pistol squats were slowing her down. Emma Tall is the one, if you'll see her again, she's in the red shorts and she just starts to pull slightly ahead. I think Annie had a few issues. That's Emma Tall there. So she was like ahead, and then towards the end of round 3 she starts pulling ahead a little bit more. Laura Horvarth was pretty hot on her tail as well, and like a lot of like our favourite athletes, there was nobody kind of behind here. There was no one that you expect to be in the top 10 that kind of wasn't, other than obviously Sara with her injury. Everybody, it's really interesting, like a lot of them don't push to win the workouts, they just try and stay within the top group, and that obviously makes total sense like points wise. But what was really interesting as a spectator is how much you see like the athletes that you're used to being in the top basically not win, and people like Emma Tall, or there are a couple of other athletes that you're not used to seeing like on the podium were actually like winning workouts. And then we had the men come out for this workout, and obviously this kind of thing on the rings with added weight doesn't favour like taller people, maybe like Lazar, but obviously he was smashing it and doing quite well from the start. Anyway, all of his ring complexes looked really smooth. BKGs looked really smooth as well, but it's clear that they're all like pacing it on the rings and also the pistols, and then trying to go full send by the time that they get to the box jumps. Harry Lightfoot was also in this heat, which is again amazing to see a Cornish person representing at this level. I think he's Cornish anyway, he definitely lives in Cornwall. And then Reggie Vassar as well was in there doing really well. The burpees, everybody at this point was pretty level, just kind of pacing it and staying within a range, and then towards the next few rounds people started to pull away. Jona Koski from the start was just looking quite strong and quite comfortable. I also remember a guy called Enrico Zanoni in this workout doing really well. There are a couple of people that I personally haven't heard of like a huge amount, but clearly a lot of the crowd had, and again that was like an amazing thing as a spectator. And I heard from a lot of people that it was a very similar atmosphere to like the Torian Pro. Like Europe has a huge field, and you can see like it's so stacked from the men and the women's side. There are a lot of incredible athletes here. So in this clip you can see that Jona Koski is about to pull away a little bit. He is like in front just as we lead up to one of the last rounds. I think he was just leading by a couple of reps, and you can tell a lot of the time when an athlete's leading, they just try and stay a few reps in front. They don't go full send and try and push out so hard in front, although we will see that in some of the workouts later on. But he just kept it like steady but stayed out in front of everybody else, and I think his pistol squats were quite efficient as well, and that might have played into his favour. And he just seemed to be like really relaxed on these burpees. You can just see with elite athletes they tend to just pick a pace and stick to it and just push it towards the end, and that's clearly what he was doing, and it obviously worked very well for him. And Lazar wasn't too far behind him. You can see obviously in this clip that they're level, and like I think Jona Koski was just slightly more in front, but Lazar was definitely trying to catch up, which again, like him being like a slightly bigger athlete, he held his own even though maybe at a slight disadvantage. Workout wise, the first day was pretty interesting to watch, but not a huge amount to report back because we don't know where people stand at this point. Morning, so it's the next day and I probably look a little bit disheveled. I am so overwhelmed, but I do get really overwhelmed in like crowded places. Generally, I've got a lot of like sensory issues. Yesterday, the whole time I started wearing earplugs. So with earplugs, you can't like not hear anything. You can still hear pretty much everything. It's just dulled down a lot. And that really helped yesterday. But still, when we got back to the hotel, I was just knackered. So you probably see the mess that is our hotel room behind us. We've just been getting like loads of snacks and eating back in the room because we're kind of like budget travelers, and basically I'm finding it a lot easier and less overwhelming to go and get like a salad. In Germany they have these supermarkets called Rui, I think it's called, and they have these amazing salad bowls. I'll put up a picture of my one that I had last night, and you can basically just put as much like protein, like carbohydrates, like pasta, salad, as much of whatever as you want in the bowls. It works out about €7 and they're amazing. And also because I'm so overwhelmed, eating back at the hotel is better for me than trying to go out and find a place to eat every single night. That's just like more overwhelm, especially being around all of those people. It's definitely something I recommend doing. If you're coming to a semi-final as an athlete, you'd be able to pick the amount of protein, carbs and fats that you need in your meal without having to like go to a menu and look for it, and it works out super cheap. We've just found it's a really good way of doing it. I think we're going to go out for a meal tonight though, just to experience that, but we've been eating like all of the German food anyway. We had schnitzel for breakfast the first day and like frikadellen, which are these like round, almost burger like things. They're really good, and we had them for breakfast the last 2 days. All the supermarkets, they also do like cereal bowls as well, so you can get like as much yogurt and as much granola as you want, and then you put them in the same kind of salad bowl situation, and then you just weigh it, and there's loads of fruit. Oh, it's amazing. I could rant about the food for ages. So I did a little bit of a question box on my Instagram. A lot of you have said that you'd like to know the experience as a spectator. Now I'm here as a spectator. I don't have a press pass. I've got no like privileges other than we've got really nice seats that were given to me by Food Spring, and I'm really lucky with that. The rest of it is just a regular spectator, and we are like sat with other people. We haven't got like a box or anything. It's just we just happen to have been given really good seats on the front row. We won't be like going behind the scenes with the athletes, held to all the same rules as all the other spectators. Literally just a regular person at the semi-finals. Which brings me to the fact that when you come into the venue, basically the reason that we've been like trying to save money outside is because inside food and the drink is really expensive, and they search your bags when you go in, and you're not allowed to take in any food, and you're not allowed to take any water. You're not allowed to take a water bottle to refill. They confiscate that off you as you walk in the venue. So a cup of fizzy water about that big is €10. So if you're someone that drinks quite a lot, that's going to be a lot of money every single day. So we spent the first day really dehydrated and really grumpy because we were so dehydrated. And then also you're trying to eat in these small windows because the food in there is just not the kind of food that I wanted. So we would go out and go to the shop, but it means you have to miss some of the event to go and get food, or you have to go out and come back in this very small window between events. And then obviously you can't take any of the food back in with you, so you've got to eat all of the food back en route to the venue. So that's basically what we've been doing. You've kind of got to accept that you're going to miss some of the events, and I would like to watch all of it, but also I would get too overwhelmed. So on the first day it was just teams, and we were watching most of it. Quite nice just to sit and chill, especially after we had a bit of a crazy journey getting here. We got lost, but I posted about it on my Instagram, but we got lost for like 2 hours trying to find our hotel. It was a nightmare. Some of the trains were like out of order. It was just not good. And in the end we got an Uber. It took us to the name of the hotel, but it turns out there was 2 of them on the map, and one of them didn't have a hotel at it, which was really strange. So we ended up at that one, obviously. And then we had to walk for like 20 minutes to get to our actual hotel. And this was nearly midnight, and the check-in closed at midnight. And we had to basically, we got there just in time, but it was touch and go. Like 20 minutes later and we wouldn't have been able to check in. So that was a nightmare. So the first day, like just being sat down and watching all the team events, that was great. But then when the second day rolls around yesterday and all of the individuals are then on, there's a lot of heats for the individuals. We started skipping some of the team heats and also some of the first few events of the individuals. Obviously I'd always want to prioritise the top heats for the individuals because those are the people I want to watch. And there are a couple of people in the heat below that are like from the UK, so I want to watch those. I also noticed that people around us like loved Emma McQuaid, so they were obviously staying for the events that she was in. There were people there supporting people from them gyms, so they would choose the heats that the people they were supporting are in. And you basically got to pick and choose like that, because you're gonna need to get up and go to the loo at some point, so you're gonna miss certain things, and there basically isn't very much break in the programming. It goes on most of the day. There is like very short breaks between the workouts, but it's just enough for them to shuffle some stuff around, and it's just not a huge amount of time. So honestly, our priorities between the heats or events were just, where are we going to get water, where are we going to get food? And that's because of the cost and the fact that you're not allowed to bring even a water bottle in, which I don't like. I feel like if we're about health, we should allow people to bring in water. But I was doing a little bit of research, and it seems that Germany generally aren't a fan of giving free water. Like in the UK, you can basically go and fill a bottle up anywhere. There's usually a fountain or something you can fill a bottle of water up with, and that is just free. But in Germany, that is apparently not a thing. So there is that. So definitely, if you're going to come to the one next year, expect to be paying a lot of money for sparkling water. So obviously, with not a lot of time between events and us trying to prioritise eating and drinking, we haven't had a huge amount of time to go and see the vendors. We did have like a quick walk around, but we didn't get to see a lot of them. And from first glance, I'm not gonna say for definite, but from first glance, it didn't seem totally size inclusive. It didn't look like there was a lot of stuff there that would actually fit me. So I might have another look around today, and I'll update you on that, on whether it is size inclusive. So this is Future Beth, and I realised this video was going on for a really long time, so I'm going to end it there. As soon as part 2 is ready and edited, I will put a link here so that you can click straight through to it. And I hope you enjoyed this video. There's loads more to come.